Hi again, see it with FitPro, talking about external rotation today. This is a big one. Okay? This is a staple in every lift, every set, every rep in the gym that you do until the end of time. So this is a really big doctrine. So if you're new to the weight room or this is new information for you, know that this is universal. This applies across the board. Okay, so external rotation. We're talking about in biomechanics. You can refer to it as torque as well. But an example is it looks like this external rotation on the shoulders versus internal rotation. Okay, and we talk about it on the shoulders, and we also talk about it on the hips and knees. Right, on a squat, here's internal rotation, and here's external rotation. Okay, the rule is internal rotation it never happens. Okay, it needs to be eliminated from the playbook forever. There isn't a fathomable single move in the gym where you're going to internally rotate a joint. Okay, so remember that, and that goes for step ups, right, and lunges. The knees have to be out. Squats, the knees have to be out. Lat pull down, bench press, overhead press. Every single lift that you do on upper body, shoulders are down and back, externally rotated. Okay. So let's talk about it from each joint to each joint. Okay, so let's start from the bottom up. So one of the first moves that I teach people is lunges. Okay, everybody knows lunges, but so few people externally rotate properly. So I'm gonna step right at the camera. Okay, so first, when you're doing lunges, this is not my lunge video, but when you're doing lunges, don't step in line, right? Don't step toe in front of toe. Right, that's gonna already create an internal angle, okay? So you wanna step straight in front of your hip, like this, number one, okay? So then, what I wanna show you is as I descend on the lunge, here's external rotation, right? Slight external rotation right here, right? You can see my knee is outside my hip, and really speaking truthfully, the external rotation originates from the hip. So if you hear somebody that's really educated, they're going to say externally rotate your hips, but it is articulated through your knees. So if you hear somebody say push your knees out, it's the same thing. It comes from the hip, okay? So when you're lunging, you want your knees to look something like this. Whereas most people, when they lunge, it's something more like that, okay? The hip is internally rotated, which turns the knee in as well. The knee is inside of the tibia. Right, this is a recipe for disaster, okay? If you're lunging and stepping like this, it is only a matter of time until you get injured. It's a guarantee, okay? So it's something that you have to eradicate completely. It has to go down to 0%. None of your movements can have this, okay? So lunges and step-ups, that's your example there on your knees. Squats are a really big move where we need to practice this as well, right? So here's my squat, and I want you to watch my hips externally rotating through my knees, okay? So like this, right? So you don't want to overdo it, of course, right? I don't want to be out like this, okay? But you want to have at least some external rotation on the hips and knees, and it gives you more power and more stability, okay? And there's no situation in the gym where you don't want to maximize both of those, right? You want maximum power, maximum stability to hit maximum weight and minimize your injury risk, right? So squats and lunges, knees and hips out, like so, okay? Now let's go to upper body, all right? So it's pretty similar on upper body. What you want to do is on bench press, for example, your setup is here, right? Most people really underdo this, okay? They sit on the bench, and I'm always saying, puff your chest up, stick your shoulders down and back. Same thing on lat pull down, on seated row, on every single lift that you do. It's always here, okay? And if it feels exaggerated, that's probably correct, okay? I've only had a very limited number of clients who actually overdo it. It's like less than 1%. It's virtually impossible, okay? So you want to be maximally tight on bench press, overhead press, lat pull down. Like I keep saying, every single lift in the gym, it's here, okay? And so eventually over time, you'll get used to that. And each lift, since it uses that posture, it's good practice across every single lift, right? So there's really no guesswork with external rotation. It's present every lift, every rep, every set, every time until the end of time.